welcome to the class. In the last class we have seen that we started with axial compressor, and for axial compressor we have seen how the velocity triangle is, how to find out the work interaction in case of axial compressor, and then how to find out stage temperature rise and pressure ratio for given conditions. Okay. So then we had obtained a formula in last class about the pressure rise as P03 upon P01 is equal to 1 plus stage efficiency into delta T naught S stage divided by T naught 1 bracket raised to gamma upon gamma minus 1. So this is stage temperature rise. Rather, we had found out that this stage temperature rise is U upon Ca upon Cp, where stage temperature rise is U upon Cp into Ca, U upon Cp into Ca into tan of beta 1 minus tan of beta 2. So this was our formula for stage temperature rise. So we got a formula for pressure ratio as P03 upon P01, which is 1 plus efficiency, stage efficiency divided by T01 into UCA divided by Cp into tan of beta 1 minus tan of beta 2 bracket raised to gamma upon gamma minus 1. So here we can see that for a pressure rise to happen with required magnitude, there are different factors which affect. First factor which affect is the axial velocity, which is Ca, axial velocity. Axial velocity, if it is more, then we can see that we can get more pressure rise. But axial velocity is restricted, or there is a limitation on axial velocity due to relative Mach number, and relative Mach number is defined as V1 divided by A1. So this is the relative Mach number at the blade. So entry, so this number should be subsonic such that we should have minimum number of losses, minimum amount of losses. So for that Ca will be restricted. So we basically need to find out what is A1. So basically we know that A1 for gas is equal to gamma R T1. Then we should know what is T1. So T1, we know formula that T01 upon T1 is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 m1 square. So we would know the Mach number at the entry, we would know the total temperature, then we can find out T1. Putting that T1 we will get A1, and then we will get the value of relative Mach number, which would have restriction to have any amount of axial velocity. So only limited amount of axial velocity will be allowed. Then the second factor which can help to raise the pressure more is blade speed, which is U. But blade speed is also restricted by stresses, centrifugal stresses in the blade, and this stress is directly proportional with U square. So there should not be again very high amount of blade speed. Third factor which is affecting is this, which is called as deflection. We had seen in last class that beta 1 minus beta 2 is called as deflection, and if we can have larger deflection, then we can have larger pressure rise. But larger deflection would create the problem of flow separation, so there would be problem. So how would be the larger pressure gradient created, larger pressure ratio created? We can see here by creating deflection. This was the velocity triangle which we had seen in earlier case. In our earlier graph we had seen that the velocity triangle is of this kind. So same velocity triangle we are trying to draw here. So we have C1 and we have V1, we have C2 and we have V2, and this angle we had called as beta 1 minus beta 2, since this is alpha 1, this is beta 1, then this is alpha 2, and then this is beta 2. Now if we want to have higher deflection, then we should have our V velocity V2 should be in the different place. So we can have V2 to be like this. If V2 is like this, then we can see that there will be more deflection. If there is more deflection, then there will be more pressure rise. So obviously we can also know that we would have more delta CW in this case. So there will be more work absorbed and then there will be more pressure rise. So there are three factors which would affect the pressure ratio. One is axial velocity, but that is restricted by relative Mach number. One is blade speed, but that is restricted by stress in the blade, and other is deflection, and large deflection would lead to flow separation. So these are the restrictions which we should be knowing, which would affect the pressure rise in a stage. Now we would see that there is a term which is called as work done factor. So work done factor for the compressor. Work done factor is related with the work supplied and work received. So work received is always lesser than the work supplied. So what we would have is delta T naught stage, which we had found out as UCA upon Cp into tan of beta 1 minus tan of beta 2. This is stage temperature rise, but that is ideal stage temperature rise. So we will get actual stage temperature rise is equal to lambda into delta T naught stage, okay, or which is rather theoretical. So this is theoretical, and then this leads to delta T naught actual is equal to lambda into U upon Ca divided by Cp into tan of beta 1 minus tan of beta 2, okay, and this lambda actually has a range generally in between 0.98 to 0.85. This number is less than 1. So actually we would get lesser temperature rise than the theoretically which we would have got otherwise if there would be that much amount of work which would have got stored in the compressor. But this lambda has variation over number of stages, and this is mean value of lambda, and this lambda mean decreases over number of stages. So as the number of stages increase, lambda mean decreases. So lesser and lesser temperature rise in actual case would be observed than the compared theoretical value if we have higher value of number of stages. So this is one more term which we should be knowing in case of axial compressors. Now moving on to the next topic of discussion, which is called as degree of reaction. Degree of reaction. We would define degree of reaction as R, suppose, and R is degree of reaction, or in some places degree of reaction is also defined as lambda. So that we would term as capital lambda, maybe, as in other case. Here it is also small lambda, and then we will define this as R or maybe capital lambda. So degree of reaction is defined as temperature rise in the rotor, which is static temperature rise in the rotor, static temperature rise in rotor divided by total temperature rise in stage. So this is the definition of degree of reaction, okay, or static enthalpy rise in the rotor divided by total enthalpy rise in the stage. So this is what, so it is comparing the pressure rise in the rotor divided by total complete pressure rise in the stage. So this is how degree of reaction is defined. Now what we should be remembering is what we have in case of axial compressor is like this. We first have rotor, we then have stator. So then this is 1, this is 2 and this is 3 for us. Okay. So 1 to 2 is rotor, 2 to 3 is stage. So we would say that this is delta T A. So temperature rise, static temperature rise is delta T A, and this static temperature rise, or rather we can call it as delta T 1 2, and this is delta T 2 3. So this is what the temperature rise which would be taken place in the rotor and the stator, okay. And then we know that at 1 we have T naught 1 total temperature, at 2 we have T naught 2 total temperature, at 3 we should have T naught 3, but T naught 3 is equal to T naught 2, since in the stator there is no work interaction, okay, only there is diffusion of the energy and it would rise the pressure. So we have this as the variation of total temperature in a stage. This is the change in static temperature in the stage. So we have basically static temperature rise in the rotor divided by total temperature rise in the stator as the formula for degree of reaction. So we have delta T 1 2 divided by delta T naught 1 3, delta T naught 1 3. We should keep it in mind that there is no total temperature in the numerator, total temperature used only in the denominator, for the fact that total temperature rise take place only in the rotor, otherwise degree of reaction would have been always 1, okay. So now we will see that we know T naught 1 is equal to T1 plus Ca square divided by twice Cp, axial velocity square divided by twice Cp. This is the temperature, total temperature in stage 1, okay. We are assuming that the flow is axial completely at the inlet. So we are having similarly T naught 2 is equal to T2 plus Ca square upon twice Cp, which is rather, if we go to 3, then we can write T naught 3 is equal to T3 plus Ca1 Ca3 square divided by twice Cp. Ca3 is here, it is entry to the next stage, but we know that Ca1 is equal to Ca3. So in that particular case what we would have is delta T naught 1 3 is equal to delta T 1 3. So total temperature rise in the stage is equal to static temperature rise in the stage. So degree of reaction R can again be written delta T 1 2 divided by delta T 1 3. So we will have delta T 1 2 divided by delta T 1 2 plus delta T 2 3. So this would be the formula for the degree of reaction. Now we should be knowing rather the delta T naught 1 3 in case of axial compressor. So delta T naught 1 3 which is equal to delta T 1 3 is equal to, or rather can be found out from stage work, which is Cp into delta T naught stage, and then that is, for our case, this is U Ca into tan of beta 1 minus tan of beta 2. So we knew that delta T naught stage is equal to UCA divided by Cp into tan of beta 1 minus tan of beta 2. So we know how to find out delta T naught stage, which is delta T naught 1 3 and which is equal to delta T 1 3. Now we got the formula of R like this. So we found out the denominator, we need to find out the numerator. So numerator can be found out by considering the energy equation between the rotor and the stator, such that we know that this is rotor, this is stator, this is 1, 2 and 3. Let us apply energy equation between, steady flow energy equation between point station 1 and station 2. We can write down that H1 plus C1 square by 2 plus Q is equal to H2 plus C2 square by 2 plus W. But this is an adiabatic process, so Q is not there. Further, this W is received by the system, so we have H1 plus C1 square by 2 is equal to H2 plus C2 square by 2 minus W stage. So we would have H2 minus H1 is equal to, rather we would have W stage H2 minus H1 is equal to C1 square by 2 minus C2 square by 2 plus Ws. Okay. So we have Cp into delta T 1 2 is equal to W stage plus, or we can also write it as minus C2 square half here, and then we can write it as C2 square minus C1 square. So this is the formula till now what we have got. So here we got the numerator, here we got the denominator. So now R is equal to delta T 1 2 which is equal to delta T naught 1 3 is equal to Ws minus half. So we can multiply both the sides by Cp. So we will get Cp into delta T naught 1 2 divided by Cp into delta T naught 1 3. So this is here. So we can write it as Ws minus half C2 square minus C1 square, but this factor is Ws. So we will have Ws. So what we get is 1 minus half 1 minus 2 Ws into C2 square minus C1 square. But we can know that Ws is equal to this, so we can use that and say that 1 minus C2 square minus C1 square divided by U Ca into 2 into tan of beta 1 minus tan of beta 2. Okay. So, this is the formula till time for R. Now, we have to find out what is Ca, what is C1. We will go back to the velocity triangle what we had drawn. So, in this velocity triangle, if we see what is C1 and what is C2. So, C1 is Ca sec alpha 1 and C2 is equal to Ca sec alpha 2. So, from the velocity triangle, we know that C1 is equal to R is equal to 1 minus Ca square sec square alpha 2 minus Ca square sec square alpha 1 divided by 2 into U into Ca divided by tan beta 1 minus tan beta 2. So, we have R is equal to 1 minus, then this formula can be further replaced sec square alpha in tan square alpha, and then we can get it again replaced using the relation of sec and tan. We can get it as Ca upon twice U into tan square alpha 2 minus tan square alpha 1 divided by tan beta 1 minus tan beta 2. But in earlier sections, what we had seen from the velocity triangle, that there is a relation which says that tan alpha 1 plus tan beta 1 is equal to tan alpha 2 plus tan beta 2. So, we can write down that relation which says that tan alpha 1 plus tan beta 1 is equal to tan alpha 2 plus tan beta 2. So, we get tan of beta 1 minus tan of beta 2 is equal to tan of alpha 2 minus tan of alpha 1. So, we can write down it over here and we can say that R is equal to 1 minus Ca upon twice U into tan square alpha 2 minus tan square alpha 1 divided by tan of alpha 2 minus tan of alpha 1. So, we get 1 minus Ca upon twice U into tan of alpha 2 plus tan of alpha 1. So, this is our formula for R. Further, this formula can also be reduced in terms of betas. So, this is how we can find out R for the compressor, which is the degree of reaction for a compressor. This formula can further be utilized to understand how the R is going to vary with respect to the blade height. So, here we know that our formula for degree of reaction is this, and here we have Ca tan alpha 2 and Ca tan alpha 1. Okay. We will do it after one more derivation, which is called as the free vortex theory. Okay. So, till time what we were trying to do was for the two-dimensional case, where we had seen that we were working with the velocity triangle on a plane which is parallel to the axis of the compressor. So, we were having this analysis as two-dimensional, but we can do further a glimpse of three-dimensional analysis where we would use a theory which is called as free vortex condition or free vortex theory. Okay. So, we will say that this is free vortex condition and we would derive this condition. As per this condition, now this condition is applied for the compressor, axial compressor as well as for the axial turbine. So, this part of discussion is common between axial compressor and axial turbine. So, what do we mean by free vortex condition? We using this condition we are trying to find out the relation between the triangle, velocity triangles whatever we would have drawn in a plane at a condition. So, this is the blade, as we know, this is the blade and this is the stator, this is rotor, this is stator. We know that we are working at this height of the blade. So, if we are working at this height of the blade, then we are drawing the velocity triangle here and here. Then knowing the velocity triangle at these locations, how to find out the velocity triangle at other locations or of the rotor. So, this is what our objective through this free vortex condition is. So, for that we practically are considering this radial variation, and since this is an axial compressor, our more intention was that it has only axial velocity. So, it is not having any radial velocity, but with this non-radial velocity being accounted, we will try to derive a constraint. So, for that we will first consider there exists a radial equilibrium, and radial equilibrium leads to 1 upon rho dP by dr, dP by dr is equal to C W square by R. So, centrifugal force is balanced by the pressure gradient in the R direction for the compressor at a location. Okay. So, this is our assumption, we could have derived that, but this can be taken to start with as a assumption for radial equilibrium to derive the free vortex condition. Now, let us consider H naught is the total enthalpy at a station, which is equal to H plus C square by 2, but we know that C can be decomposed into two components, which is C A square plus C W square. Further, we can differentiate this H naught and then we get dH naught by dr is equal to dH by dr plus Ca into dCa by dr plus Cw into dCw by dr plus Cw into dCw by dr. This is equation number 1. Now, we know our thermodynamic relation, which is combined first law and second law. As per that, TdS is equal to dH minus VdP. So, that can be written as dH minus dP by rho. Then we can write here as dH is equal to TdS plus dP by rho. Now, here we can see that there is a term dH by dr. So, we can differentiate this equation, then we can get dH by dr. So, T into ds by dr plus ds into dt by dr plus 1 upon rho into dP by dr minus we would have 1 upon rho square into dP into d rho by dr. This would be the term, but then this term is a second order, further this term is also second order. We will, for the sake of convenience, we will neglect them being their magnitudes to be very small. So, we get dH by dr is equal to T into ds by dr plus 1 upon rho dp by dr, but we know that 1 upon rho dp by dr is equal to Cw square by r. So what we get after this, putting equation 2 in equation 1, we get dH naught by dr is equal to T into ds by dr plus Cw square by r plus Ca into dCa by dr plus Cw into dCw by dr. Now we know that when we are considering centrifugal compressor, our Ca is taken as constant with respect to r. So this term is negligible in magnitude or 0 for us. Further, we are considering subsonic compressors, so there is no entropy variation in r direction. So these two terms would get cancelled. Further, we are also considering that the dH naught by dr is negligible, which is saying that we are having equal amount of work to be taken by the compressor at different heights. So considering these terms to be negligible in the respect of other two terms, we get Cw square upon r is equal to minus Cw into dCw by dr. So which says that minus dr by r is equal to dCw by Cw. After integration, this expression leads to the fact that Cw into r is equal to constant. So if we know Cw at a height, then we can find out Cw at some other height. So this is how this formula helps us to work out for finding out the velocity triangle known at one point, to be finding out velocity triangle to be evaluated or estimated at the other height. This formula can be thought to having relation with the formula for what we have derived for the degree of reaction. So degree of reaction formula, what recently we derived as 1 minus Ca upon 2u into tan alpha 2 plus tan alpha 1. So r is equal to 1 minus u into 2Ca into tan of alpha 2 plus tan of alpha 1. So it is r is equal to Ca by u. Ca by u. So we have 1 minus twice u into Ca tan alpha 1 plus tan alpha 2 into Ca. If we see velocity triangle, so Ca tan alpha 1 would be Cw1. So r is equal to 1 minus twice u, and this is Cw1 plus Cw2. And now we will multiply both the numerator and denominator by r. So we will get 1 minus r upon twice u into Cw1 plus Cw2, which would lead to 1 minus rCw1 plus rCw2 divided by r into u. Then we know that r1, and we can write it as r2, since r1 and r2 are same, but this is a constant. Since this is a constant, we get r is equal to 1 minus 1 upon r into u. Say that this constant is k1, but we know that u is equal to pi dn by 60. So u is equal to pi r n into 2 by 60. So it turns out that r is 1 minus k2 upon r square. So this is the relation of degree of reaction with respect to R. So, if R is increased, degree of reaction will increase. If R is decreased, degree of reaction will decrease. So, this is how we, when do a 2D analysis for the using the velocity triangle at mid bed height, free vortex theory helps us to translate that analysis with the constraint that we are having negligible change in axial velocity, we are having negligible change in the total enthalpy in the radial direction. So, we can take that Cw into R is equal to constant. So, these are the topics which we would be needing for understanding the axial compressor, and here we end the topic on axial compressor. We will meet for the next topic in the next class. Thank you.